Let's see how Excel copy-paste function works. It might so happen that we need to copy only a select attributes out of the selection that we are working on. Let's say I have a total formula somewhere in my data and I only want to copy the output and not the formula. Or let's say I have applied certain cell formatting to a particular cell or series of cells and I want to copy that formatting and nothing else. We can achieve all of this through paste special. In this sheet we will demonstrate the various options that paste special allows us to operate with. The task at hand is to copy all the items in range A, which have been denoted in row 20 from cells H20 to Q20, in range B, which has been labeled from H23 to Q23. Let's go with each of the paste special options one by one. If I want to copy all the cell contents as it is, I will select the entire range in row 30, press Ctrl C, select the first cell in row 33. Remember the shortcut to access the dialog box for paste special is Alt ES. By default, the radio button before all is selected. I will not change that and simply press OK. What it does is it changes and copies the exact same cell contents in row 30 to row 33. Let's move on to the next example. Here, as you can see, both the rows contain the same formulas but a different starting point. So let's say we delete this. If you see from column I onwards, 1 is being added to each prior cell. If you want to apply the same formulas in the B range, which is row 43, what we do is we select all the cells in row 40 after the first cell, that is, click on Ctrl C, move our cursor down to row 43 after the first cell in column H, Alt ES, access paste special, and we copy only the formulas. To do that, we select formulas here in the paste option, press OK, and automatically the entire formulae in the row above have been copied here, and the formula runs exactly the same way it was running in row 40. It might be useful to mention that many times when we are working with large amounts of data, we can't go about manually inputting formulas for each row item or each data set. We can simply use the copy and paste special function to copy formulas across calculations. Let's look at the flip side of this. Here, let's say we have the same paste range, which is like this, 101 to 2 up till 109. But what if I wanted row 50 to appear exactly the same way as it is appearing in row 53 as well? If I select Alt ES and select the option of pasting it as all, it will not get us the desired output. Even formulas option will not get us the desired output because it will simply keep adding 1 to 100. The third option, which is values, is the option which we would select in this case and press OK. What that does is it copies the values as it is in the paste range. This is useful when we want to store or copy the outputs as it is, because in some cases, let's say for a very simple example, I have 2 plus 3 and we add both of these. We get 5, right? If I copy this using Alt ES and all option, we get a 0. Can you imagine why? Because when we pasted the value here, the entire formula got pasted. The entire formula is now referring to blank cells and it will yield a 0 output. So in case I wanted to copy 5 in its entirety and as a value to the adjacent cell, I will use paste special Alt ES and select values, press OK. I will get the value 5 here. Let's move on to the next section. Let's say I format this range in a particular manner, which is highlighting them as yellow. But I want the cell formats in my paste range, which is in row 63, to be exactly the same as in row 60. I don't want to change the numbers, I don't want to change the formulas. I just want to copy the way the cells look like in row 60 to row 63. What I will do is I will select from cell H60 to Q60, Control C, scroll down, Alt ES, go on formats, press enter, and the formats will be copied as it is, but there will be no change in the cell contents or formulas or values. Moving on, let's say I want to copy each of my cell contents in a way to convert it from horizontal to a vertical data set. I have cells I70 to Q70. I select them, Control C, move on to cell I73. Let's just delete it before we do it. Control C, and we paste special and we use E, which is the shortcut for transpose. Press OK and we have entire cell copy range in vertical format. But what did you observe? The cell contents have been copied along with the cell formats. We didn't want the cell formats to be copied, we only want the cell values to be copied. So we press Ctrl Z, we again select those cells, press Ctrl C, move down to cell I73, Alt ES, select values, because values will exclude the formats, exclude the formulas and everything else. Select transpose, press OK. And here we have the entire cell contents from a horizontal or a row entry to a column entry. Essentially, we have transposed our data set. These were the basic operations of paste special. Let's quickly run through the other options that paste special has to offer. We saw all will copy everything as it is. The formulas will be copied as formulas, the values will be copied as values, along with the formats and comments. The next is the formulas. The formulas option will not copy formats and it will not copy the values as it is, it will only copy the formulas as it is. So in case a cell has a formula, the formula will be copied, and in case a cell has a manual number input, it will copy the number without the formats. Values ignore formats, ignores any formulas applied to a particular cell, they will only copy the output. Formats will ignore the formulas, ignore the values, and only copy the formats. The comments option will ignore everything but the comments. Validation, as we will get to know more in the future sessions, will only copy the validation applicable to a particular cell. All using source theme is not a function that is used commonly and is not applicable to the current version. Moving on to all except borders, it will copy everything except the borders. Column width will copy the column width for a particular cell to a different column. Formulas and number formats will copy only the formulas and the number formats, but any cell formatting such as cell background or cell font will be ignored. Value and number formats will ignore formulas, ignore cell formatting, but only copy values and number formats. By number formats, we mean the number of decimals or whether the number has been formatted in terms of percentage or in terms of fraction is referred to as number formats. Operation, we'll get to the detail of how this works as we go along. We've already seen transpose, and that is it for paste special. Now let's move on to cell formatting. Cell formatting is the way we depict information or cell contents such as numbers, dates, percentages, fractions. Excel allows us to customize the presentation of such numbers in various ways. Let's start with the first example of formatting a particular number. As you can see in cell F11, the number 1 lakh is without commas. If we want to apply commas to a particular cell, like in cell H11, let's try doing it by inputting 1 lakh, selecting commas. But now we want to remove the decimal places, so we select decrease decimal and we have 1 lakh with commas. Let's move on to the next option, which is to highlight negative figures as red. -1 lakh. Let's apply the decimal places, the commas, remove the decimals. But we want to add red to the negative number. How can we do that? Let's access the cell formatting dialog box from the shortcut Ctrl+1. Now, as you can see, there's a long custom format for this particular type of cell. Let's simplify it a bit. Let's delete all of this. The basic fundamentals for formatting any cell as numbers is as follows. A cell format or a custom cell format is divided into 4 parts. Each part is separated by a semicolon. The first part is the positive number. Depicted by a hash, which depicts a number. The second part is depicted by a negative number. The third part is depicted by a 0. For now, let's just put a hash there. And the fourth part is depicted by an input for a text entry, which we will learn about more in future. Let's start with the positive number. As you could see, we wanted to remove all decimal places from a positive number, so the cell format to go with it would be 0. We wanted to add red to each negative number. The way to go about it is open square bracket, red, close square bracket. Again, remove the decimals, 0. For the third item, which is 0 item, let's say we would keep it as it is, which is a number. Let's play. Let's see what happens. We can see that the decimals have been removed, but the coding, but the color has been formatted, the number has been formatted as red. Let's revisit what we did, what we missed out. Let's start with the first example. Before we get into the detail of how this output is arrived at, let's understand the basics of a custom format or a cell format. To access the formatting dialog box, the cell formatting dialog box, the shortcut is Ctrl+1. As you can see, there are a number of categories to choose from: general, number, currency, and so on. For each type of number or each type of output, you might want to choose from predefined sets of cell formatting, or choose to create your own custom format. Let's see how the custom formats and what are the fundamentals of custom formats. Each custom format has 3 parts, and each part is separated by a semicolon. The first part is for the positive numbers. The second part is for the negative numbers. And the third part is for all 0 figures. Let's represent each part with a number. Hash in this case represents a number. Okay. Let's apply this formatting in this cell as well. So I simply copy the formatting here, press Ctrl+1 again, and we have the formatting here. Now let's input 1 lakh. As we can see, it is the same as the value input in cell F11, but the output we want to achieve at is cell H11. Let's amend the custom format a bit. Firstly, we want to add a comma. So what we do is, a comma is represented by a 1000 separator. We add another hash to it to make it as a full figure with a comma after thousands. We press enter, and we have 1 lakh with commas. Let's move on to the negative number. Here, as we can see, the number contains brackets and the number is formatted in red. Let's copy the number from above in the cell below and convert it into a negative figure by adding a minus sign. Let's go to the custom formats and review our formula. Here, the first thing we need to do is to add the red formatting to a negative number. We can achieve that through square brackets, red, and we have a negative red. Second, we want to achieve and add brackets. We add a bracket, format the number with commas without any decimal places, close the bracket and press enter. We have successfully formatted the negative number as red without any decimals and with open and close round brackets. Let's move on to the third type of number, which is a 0. Only that instead of a 0, we want to depict a hyphen. Let's copy the number from cell J12 in the cell below and convert it into a 0. Now, as you can see, we will have to edit the custom format first. Control 1. Here, in case we have 0 as the input, every 0 value will be displayed as a 0. But we want to display 0 as a hash, as a hyphen. So what we do is, we put the hyphen in double quotes and press enter. Now we successfully formatted a 0 as a hyphen. This is how we format numbers using custom formats. To add or edit decimals in the number formats, we can simply use the increase decimal option or decrease decimal option. But once you do that, we will again have to revisit the custom formats and amend them as we have just learned. Moving on to the next type of formatting, which is to add a text before each of the cell content, like here. How can we do that? Let's see. We have 1 and we copy all of these in the row below. We want to write quarter in front of every number we have. Going back to how we learned to change custom formats, we press Ctrl 1, go to custom and edit. Now you must remember that custom formats are divided into 3 parts, as we've already learned. In case we don't divide a custom format into 3 different parts and just keep one part, all of the formatting will apply to the entire or any type of number. What we want to achieve is to add quarter, which is QTR, in front of every number. So QTR in double quotes, let's put a space before double quotes and then the number. When we press enter or OK, all of our numbers are formatted in the way shown in row 23. We have successfully added the text QTR before every number. Now let's go a step further. To have a text before each different type of number, which is a positive number will have INR, a negative number will have INR, a red formatting plus round brackets, and a 0 will display nil. We have already learned how to create a custom format. Let's try to replicate our learnings here. Let's say 1 lakh minus 1 lakh and 0. Let's first edit 1 lakh. I press Ctrl 1, go to custom format, select general, delete. The first, if you remember, the first part of a custom cell number format is the positive number. So I put is in double quotes INR, a space before the double quotes, then number, comma, number, and let's for the moment just press OK. So the first kind of number and the first output we have achieved. Let's just copy this cell, and as you have already learned, let's paste special using Alt ES and paste the formats. Let's see what happens. Now what we can see is we've achieved INR, but still two items are yet to be achieved. One is to format the cell as red, and the other is to remove the negative hyphen. How can we do that? Let's press Ctrl 1 again. Custom format. Now let's get into defining the second type of cell format for negative numbers. So we put a semicolon, INR, red for red formatting, number, comma, number. Let's just put a space after INR, press OK. And there we have, oops, we just missed the brackets. We can add the brackets also and press enter. Here we have the cell formatting as INR 1 lakh, a negative figure with round brackets and red font. Let's move on to the third kind of number, which is a 0. We just Control C, that is copy the above cell format to the cell format 0 value. Now we see we have to edit this custom format. We go to Control 1. We have taken care of the first part of the format, which is positive number, the second part of the format, which is a negative number. We add another semicolon and go on to the last part of the cell format, which is 0, and simply put nil in double quotes. Press enter and we have nil, the desired output. Let's move on to the next type of cell formatting, which is a date. How can we achieve cell formatting for date? Let's copy these two values right next to the desired output. Now in case we want to format this as a short date, Excel provides us with a preset defined cell format, date format, which is either this or this. However, to custom edit it in the way we can see in cell H41, let's undo and go to custom cell formats. In date, we can see that there are various types of cell formats. However, if we still want to manually change the cell format, let's see how it's done. M stands for month, D stands for year, D stands for day, and Y stands for year. Let's say we want to see the date in date, month and year format. What we do is D, two D's will represent date, the days to be shown in numbers, then a hyphen. Month, we want to see in the full form, so a 3-letter month, and year as well in the full form. We press OK. Similarly, for this as well, we can simply copy paste and we will get this date format as the desired output is in cell H42. Let's move on to the next type of cell formatting. Here, what we want to achieve is to see FY, which stands for financial year, before every date, and the date should only show the year. How can we achieve that? We've already learned from custom formats in the example before that Y will give us the full year from a particular date. Let's have that as a starting point. Control C and paste these as values below the desired output. Select all these cells, press Ctrl 1. Go to custom. The moment we type 3 Ys, we can get a full financial year 2014. But our task is not over yet. We need to apply the text FY before each year. So what we do is, we simply type in double quotes FY, and we could also see a hyphen. We'll just apply a hyphen after FY and press OK. As you can see, we have successfully applied the formatting as shown in row 52 with FY preceding every financial year, every year in full form. Moving on to the next type of formatting. Here we want to convert our decimals into percentages. Let's follow the same approach we've been doing so far. We copy the values in column J and let's edit the first part of the positive number. As we all know, the first part is denoted by the positive number. The first task at hand is to convert this number into a decimal with 2 digits. The way to go about it is to have a 0, full stop, 0, 0, followed by a percentage symbol. What that does is, we define the number of decimals after each number, and a percentage sign denotes that the number has to be formatted as a percentage. We press OK. Let's go on to the next type of number. As we know, the first type is positive, 0, a percentage, We can leave it at this, or if we want to apply the red formatting to a negative number, we'll have to separately create the custom format for all negative decimals as well. So here we again put the red in the square brackets, 0, 0, 0, full stop, 0, 0, a percentage sign, and OK. Here we see that we still missed out one thing, which is the negative sign. We simply go back to the custom format and before the 0 add a hyphen. And here we are. We've successfully formatted the number with a percentage of 2 decimals, a hyphen to denote that it is a negative number, and a red font color. Moving on to the next option, which is to denote numbers as fractions. To denote numbers as fractions, we can simply press Ctrl 1, go to fraction and select whichever option we desire. In the examples described below, each example corresponds to each of the options provided by Excel. Up to 1 digit, up to 2 digits, up to 3 digits, and so on and so forth. The last section and the most complicated of the cell formatting is to apply custom formats in a way to format cell fonts for a predefined or a definite criteria. Here, custom numbers. Now, let's move to the final bit, which is formatting numbers with a predefined criteria. In this example, what we need to do is apply blue formatting to all positive numbers above 1, apply red formatting to all negative numbers, and a hyphen up to 3 decimal places. Let's see how we can start with copying these as values and proceed to apply a custom format. The first part of the formula is for, as you know, a positive number. We apply blue, but then give it a condition in square brackets to be greater than 1. Then apply the the comma formatting, which is hash, comma, hash, hash. Apply the decimal format, which is 0, comma, 0, full stop, 0, 0, 0. Then for the negative numbers, we have open square bracket red, close, applying the commas, then applying the decimals, which is 0, stop, 0, 0, 0, and finally a 0 for all the 0 numbers. We press enter, and here we have the numbers formatted. Just a small adjustment, we needed the decimals up to 4 places, so we'll add another 0 in the decimal place and press OK. And here we have the final output matching with the desired output by using custom formats. This was all to do with cell formatting and custom formats.